Hey, Tor.
Matt Cremona says, boring.
Tell Cremona to shove a pancake in his mouth. A bacon dripping pancake. So, hey everybody. This is, you've seen Millie before, right? This is Tormund. He's our new rescue. He's about 3 years old.
Yeah.
And boy, does he have a case of the poops.
Yeah, he does.
Oh boy. I have been doing nothing
Mil.
but cleaning up diarrhea around the house. And he's under a vet's care. Don't worry about it. It's all taken care of. But the poor guy is he's peeing out his butthole.
Yeah.
So he's Tormund. Of course, he's a red Dobie, and now we have a nice pair.
Yeah.
And he's a good-looking boy, though. Look at him. Just look at that face.
Look at that punum.
Look at that punum. Give me a kiss, baby. Yeah, he's a good boy. All right, you guys want to go back inside? We have a show to do. Come on. Go inside.
The pair of them are adorable together.
All right, so happy Friday, everybody.
Hey, happy early birthday.
Oh, thank you.
Mark's turning 40 tomorrow.
Tomorrow. It's my big 40.
Yep.
I can finally own all this gray hair.
Well, that everybody keeps reminding you about?
Yeah. Somebody says, oh, that gray hair is really taking root. Just no shit, dude. That's what it does.
What happens when you spend 10 years in front of a camera?
That's right.
You get to see yourself age.
And here's the way I look at it. You know, hair for guys really goes in two directions, right? It either goes gray or it goes away. Yeah. Right? So if you had to pick, quite honestly, wouldn't you rather have some hair but have it all go gray? If you had to choose, right? Because you can dye it if you really wanted to.
White.
I'm just
when
thankful.
My hair finally decides to.
Yeah, you'll probably go white.
Go white.
Yeah, I'm just thankful to have some hair up there because there's a lot of guys in much worse shape than I am in terms of hair quantity. So I feel for you. Okay, let's get into the good stuff. So we have a Wood Whisperer community group on Facebook that we started. Yeah. It's a lot like the Guild group, which is a private group. You have to be a Guild member to get in. We're bringing some of the same rules and community guidelines that we have that work so well for the Guild. We're bringing that into the free area for everybody to enjoy. And
we had to get more moderators because this is a lot more people.
We couldn't keep up with it. Even just keeping up with the requests for people to come in, we could not keep up with it. So thank you to the fine folks who are helping us out, the few trusted individuals who are moderating that group. But it's really positive.
Secret club. Secret club.
It's a really positive
Daddy's
group.
Big tummy.
No memes. No BS, no jerks. And really no videos. Yeah. And that may sound odd, but it's
unless it's like around.
You have a question about it, or it's relevant to a conversation, or you're answering someone else's question. We just don't want it to be a self-promotional vehicle.
We do allow tool sales. I mean, it's not a swap and shop, but if you
have a really good deal.
Yeah, like we have some wood dealers that are on there. And so a lot of times, again, use the search. I know a lot of people don't realize that there's a search bar up there. Search option in every group. Yeah. And if you're looking for people in your area, if you actually type in like Chicago, and you'll probably find a whole bunch of posts with Chicago in it.
So that's anyway. Facebook.com/groups/TWW community, and you could just search for it there as well.
And one of the cool things that I'm doing is I'm just picking my favorite project that I happen to see in that group that week, and we're featuring it in our weekly newsletter. Yeah. And it's called the Woodworker of the Week.
Woodworker of the Week. You could be the Woodworker of the Week. Yep. And if you want to subscribe to the newsletter, we've been doing a newsletter for ages, since we started the Wood Whisperer. And we're proud to say we have yet to really, like happens with most newsletters, they get sold. And you'll see an ad for Woodpecker's one-time tool. One of the 10 ads you get from people who sell their lists. We don't do that. So if you just want a digest of content from everything that we do, Wood Whisperer related, Wood Talk, and the Guild even, we mentioned some Guild stuff in there, you can go to thewoodwhisperer.com/newsletter-RSS. and sign up for that. And that's just a classic email inbox newsletter. And that's where we're going to feature the Woodworker of the Week.
It -RSS?
Yep.
Oh, interesting. And why didn't we just say newsletter?
Just because I screwed that up. So, is that okay?
That's okay. That's okay.
All right, so let's get to the good stuff. I was going to bring my outdoor table and chairs in here because honestly, that is what I've been working on. I've got a dining chair to build for the Guild, but man, it has just taken me forever. We've talked about it before. When you have to apply 6 to 7 total coats of a very thick oil-based material, and you're starting with a epoxy sealer that takes 4 to 5 days on its own to cure, the finishing process becomes a very long-term commitment. And it's been driving Nicole nuts. So finally it's done though. And I got the 2 coats of matte on it, so it knocked down that high gloss.
It really looks nice.
It looks sweet.
Yeah.
So we bought one of those cantilevered umbrellas for the back, so it at least will have some protection for part of the year. And I think it's gonna hold up a whole lot better. So I got a video coming up on that finishing process as well. Okay, let's get to some of the Patreon questions.
Do you put all like your trials and tribulations in that video? Like, I screwed that up.
It'll come up in voiceover, like, this sucks. I'm now, you know, I'm now a full year older and we're still working on this thing. Yeah, you'll get the point. Okay, so you want to get the Patreon questions?
Yeah. And I'll try to be grabbing questions from the YouTube chat, not the Facebook.
Everybody wants to be grabbed by Nicole. Just grab it. Ooh, got my Christmas goose early. All right, so patreon.com/woodwhisper.
Yes.
Is where you could go
to
help us out on Patreon. We always appreciate that. And patrons get priority questions answered, but Nicole will grab your butt and take a question from you if you're interested in that. She'll give you a little goose. Okay, so Andrew St. Pierre wrote in. He says, "Hey, Mark and Nicole, I've recently been having a lot of issues when gluing up. When I'm done with my boards, my boards aren't flat. Is there any tips or tricks that you have for keeping boards flat during glue up? This is mostly face grain cutting boards and I'm having issue with. I'm tired of hand planing." Thanks, Andrew. This is one of those things that can be tricky to diagnose without actually seeing your work and seeing your practices and how you do things. But there's a few things that you can do. These are just generic recommendations across the board. You want to use good dry stock, that's dry enough to work. If it's a little bit too moist, you could certainly have problems as you release moisture by milling the stock down. The other thing is try to mill your boards evenly. So as you're planing them down to size, let's say, try to take even amounts off of both sides, because if it is letting off moisture, that's going to help keep it in balance. If let's say you have to take a 1/4 inch off, you take it all off one side, you can actually expose more moisture on that side and then cause warpage that way. The other thing that might happen is during the glue up itself, 2 things can occur. If your edges aren't perfectly square and you push those boards together, what happens? All right, you can get a bowing sort of appearance by the fact that you're off from 90 where those boards meet, so you have to be careful with that. But also, depending on the clamps you use, clamps can sometimes induce pressure top side, bottom side, depending on the type of clamp. So like my parallel clamps, like these guys, I find that they put a little bit too much of like a top pressure on here. So I like to balance that out by running, half of my clamps in this orientation, the other half in this orientation. And I find that that stacks the cards in my favor, that it's actually going to work out quite
John
well.
Howard just said, looking to build up my clamp.
Ron Howard?
No, John Howard.
Oh.
You're just talking about clamps. And he said, would you reach for an F-style clamp or a parallel clamp?
For what?
Just, he wants to build up his clamp collection.
Both. John, as you can see, I have quite a selection of parallel clamps and I have quite a selection of F-style clamps. They both have their uses. Kind of depends on what you want to do, but if you're doing a lot of panels, I like the parallel clamps, but they can also be used for other things. Okay, Yoso.
So I got a question on this one.
Oh, okay, Nicole.
So for Andrew,
yes.
Can a moisture meter help him?
If the material you're getting is not necessarily predictable or the source isn't getting you well-seasoned material, yeah, a moisture meter is always helpful. So you can, when I said that it's not, maybe it's too wet, how do you know?
Right.
Well, the moisture meter is how you know.
And John Fox wants to know, can you recommend a good one?
Moisture meter, Delmhorst. They're expensive, but they're good. I think Wagner makes one too.
Okay.
I'm just gonna take a little low view here because I want to show you something. Not a piece of paper. Okay, so Yoso's question. I'm assuming it's Yoso. Does he pronounce it with a J? Joso or Yoso? We should find out because we talk about the guy all the time.
You know what? You should message him on Patreon.
That's too much work. He says, which chisel sizes would you start with? I'm starting with my hand tool collection. It's hard to find ones to start with. Narex has the 12-piece set, which seems like overkill, but if they're useful, I would like to have them. I think you can get away with a 4-piece set. And I should have brought a 4-piece set out here, but I'm a dum-dum. 1/4 inch, 3/8, 1/2, and 3/4. All right, those are going to be your common sizes that you use for joinery and typical things that you do in woodworking. Now, if you're a hybrid woodworker like me, and that means that you like to blend power tools and hand tools, you're going to make a lot of your joinery using standard size bits. So like a 1/2 inch router bit, a 1/4 inch router bit, and then you're going to be doing cleanup. And here's an interesting thing, and I recommended this in my book, Hybrid Woodworking, and I will echo that now, is that I highly recommend you consider metric. And not because I want to make our European friends, actually everybody, pretty much everybody but the United States, happy, but because I actually think for the hybrid woodworker, they make more sense. Okay, so if you are looking at metric equivalents of the quarter, 3/8, half, and 3/4, you're looking at 6mm, 8mm, 12, and 18mm. All right, so I have a 12mm here and an 18mm here. This is our 1/2 inch and 3/4 inch equivalents. But because they're in metric, they're actually slightly undersized. So my 3/4 inch chisel, don't know if you can make that out, but we are just under 3/4 of an inch. And same thing with my 1/2 inch chisel. Again, it's not 1/2 inch, it's 12mm, but it is just under a 1/2 inch. The reason why I like this is because if you cut the joints with a router bit, it's going to be that standard imperial size of 1/2, 3/4, 1/4. And when you're cleaning it up, if you actually have a chisel that is exactly that same size, you tend to mangle the mortise a little bit. So I find that if it's slightly undersized, it gives me more options and allows me to clean up the things that I do in my sort of hybrid process by having slightly undersized dimensions on the chisels, right? And then if you, you're so inclined to actually chop chisels by hand, you could either get an imperial set, or if you're chopping them by hand, why does it matter, right? If it's slightly under 3/4 of an inch, you're in complete control over the size of the mortise and the size of the accompanying tenon. So if it's just under 3/4, who cares? Make your tenon just under 3/4, right? So there's not really any major disadvantage to going with the metric, but I do find there to be significant advantages for the hybrid woodworker. And it makes our European friends happy.
What chisels are these?
Those are my Fujihiro chisels from Hita Tool.
Hita.
I like the ones with the multiple hollows. They get pretty pricey the more hollows they have, but baby are they nice. And everyone usually, they really like it when I point with my middle finger. You guys love this. In fact, I did this once by accident. Yeah. And someone, and my thumbnail took, the automatic thumbnail on YouTube, took that screenshot, and I just left it there.
Well, there you go.
Because I thought it was a thing of beauty.
Hey, we got a couple super chats. Super chat.
Okay, hurry up.
We have one from
quickly.
Jesus.
Jesus.
If you're trying to sand varnish out of a rocking chair with a lot of figured spindles, what's the best sanding approach? No orbital sander, right?
Yeah, that's tricky.
So I would think it's a lot. If there's spindles, you got
you may be looking at a lot of hand sanding.
Yeah.
You may want to get yourself a couple of small scrapers. Scrapers can save you time.
What
and
about
at least,
Dremels?
Whoa. Well, there might be sanding attachments that you could use with a Dremel, but you can do some serious damage with something that's motorized. I would say try to get your scrapers in there. The cool thing is, even if you're doing a spindle and it's round, if you take that scraper and you're just taking the finish off, you could take that top film off, and you may make a little bit of a, sort of a wavy surface because it's not consistent. You're taking something flat to something round. But your sandpaper will even all that out. So get as much as you can with the scraper, then come back with your sandpaper by hand and let your hand follow the contours. This is why refinishing sucks, right? I mean, sometimes there's situations where that's all you can do. If you can't knock the joints apart and get each piece out so you can get all sides of it, you're just stuck with getting, the best you can. So there are also soft, spongy sanding pads that you can use to get in there that conform.
Festool one, you like that? Was it the Festool pad one that
well, they have the hand pads. It's not a Festool one though, but they do have even at just Home Depot and Lowe's, you can get those soft. I don't like them very much, but they're like spongy material with sanding grit on them. That's really about all I can think of. Of course, consider stripping as well. It's a great way to make money on the weekends. Get it?
I do.
I think generally speaking, you want to get that finish off, and stripping is probably a good way to get that top film off, so you're just doing less aggressive work, right?
Yeah.
You like that, didn't you?
I have another super chat, one more, from Frapsody. I had a scare in the shop, nothing serious, but now I'm a little scared. Any tips on dealing with getting over that shop-related fear?
Time is really the thing. I think it's, you don't want to overthink it, but you don't want to dismiss it completely. If you had a close call, there's a reason. So think critically about what happened, why it happened, and make sure it doesn't happen again. You could still do all that work mentally and still have that gun-shy feeling. It's only natural. I would say don't force it, don't rush it. maybe do some other things to kind of build up your confidence in the shop again, and slowly work that particular tool or operation back into your regimen. I don't think you need to, you know, force it out of you. You know, there is a healthy fear.
Because there's alternatives to a lot of things in the shop. So especially, I mean, Shannon does all hand tool work. So maybe
he's crazy.
I know.
What's his problem?
But I'm just saying, if a motorized tool is stressing you out, maybe a good way.
Try to get some kind of non-powered equivalent.
Right, right.
But I think ultimately the way to truly get over it is to arm yourself with knowledge. And a lot of times fear can be conquered with knowledge. So knowing why you did that and how it happened and how to avoid it. It's if you did something and you have no idea why it happened. Now you're running the risk of doing it again because you can't address the problem, right? So as long as you know how and why, it's you're already on your way to recovering from that.
Right. Good
Mark,
question.
Yeah, that was a really good one.
That was good. Yeah.
Mark Nyland says, what's your opinion on multi-use versus single-use tool and one-off jigs and configurable multi-capability jigs? That's a big question. Generally speaking, multi-use stuff, and this is a complete generalization, the more things it does, the more things it doesn't do well. Do you know what I mean? Like it's the jack of all trades,
this is not
master of none.
Good Eats Alton Brown where he hates the unitasker.
Yeah, no unitaskers in my kitchen. Well, that's fine in his kitchen, but this is my wood shop and I do like unitaskers. Actually, there are certain things that just don't make sense in a sort of unitasker format, and there are certain things that do. It's a very case-dependent situation, so I can't, you know, toss all of these things out. But I do find many things, and I have this policy for electronics. If I were to buy a, you know, multifunctional, all-in-one sort of receiver for a home theater, let's say, one thing breaks and then they all go. So I've always been a fan of separates when it comes to electronics and, you know, sound equipment and home theater equipment, because each one does its job and it does it well. And if it breaks, it's one component of the thing and not the entire set. So apply that thought to woodworking, and if that sort of makes sense in the world of woodworking, then it's good. That's a great way to explain it, right? No, it's not. I just botched it. But anyway.
I wasn't really listening, so I was sure.
I know. You're always good for that. So that's the thing. I think sometimes these things that are multi-tools may not work quite as well, but there are definitely going to be exceptions to that. Now, in terms of your multi-capability jigs, again, you know, I've seen, let's go with the crosscut sled. I've seen crazy crosscut sleds. Nick Ferry has a really good one out there. But what do I keep using? The one I learned to make from David Marks. You know, it's like, it's so simple. It only does 90. But here's the thing. If you have a jig that does something other than 90, there's always a good possibility
it's out of whack.
That when you put it back down to 90 and you're ready to go make that square cut again, guess what? It might not be square just because of the natural variability. But mine, that's dead set at 90, unless I knock it or drop it on the floor or something, it's going to be 90 every time.
Right.
So the more things it does, the more points of failure you have potentially. So, and that's just me. Everybody's going to feel differently about this stuff. Okay.
Another good question.
Sean Smith. Mark, is there a reliable way to flatten an 8-foot-long bowed board? It's the last of my wood, and it needs to be part of a bench seat, so cutting it down is not an option. Well, you know what? I'm kind of a wuss when it comes to long bowed boards because I don't want to deal with them, right? So I say, you know what? I'm going to just go get another one, because the best way to get a flat board is to start with a flat board. If it's already bowed at an 8-foot length, to truly flatten it via the woodworking means by removing stock, you're going to end up with, like, if it's really bad, a 1/4-inch board when it's all said and done, right? It's impossible to flatten it any other way. So you want a straighter board is what it comes down to, or like you said, you chop it up and...
You can't put water on it and try
to bend it?
There
are techniques where you can try to, you know, steam it or put water on it and go put it in the sun, or put a wet towel on the side that's up, put a wet towel on there and put that out in the sun and just kind of let it soak through it. But it's all highly variable. And here's what I find. It's like curling hair. If you curl your hair, won't it eventually want to go back straight? Well, in your case, on your way home, it'll straighten out.
After I take the curl out, it'll want to go
Same
straight.
thing with me. If I tried to take the curl out, it'll eventually straighten out. It always wants to go back to what its, you know, what its core thing is.
Right.
So I find with wood, a lot of the times, unless we're talking about severe bends and things like that, that you're bending intentionally, wood just generally wants to spring back to where it was. So unless this wood is just insanely valuable, I say bite the bullet, go buy a straighter board and get the results you want.
And make something else out of it.
Yeah, there may be ways, but it's going to fight you. There's kerfing methods that you can do as well. You could always, you know, if it's not going to be an eyesore, cut kerfs along it that kind of, you know, allow you to bend it back in place, and then you could screw it down to a frame. There are tricks, but I just don't know if they're going to apply to your situation. Okay, Steve.
Oh, I got one right here.
Okay.
Because, let's see, where'd it go? Where'd it go? Oh, Derek. Derek says, can you tell Emily that she should spend more time in the shop with Derek? She's listening for the first time with him.
Oh, really? Okay, Emily. We go back a long ways, and I think I can be honest with you in this, and I've given a lot of thought.
Yeah.
Derek. I think you should probably spend a little bit more time with Derek in the shop. I mean, the guy does a lot for you, right? He's there. He's a shoulder to cry on.
And she does a lot for him.
And I'm sure you do a lot for him, but this is just one more thing that you can do.
And this is like bonding, you know, it could be a bonding time.
It's a bonding thing.
Hey.
It's a pay it forward thing, right?
You know, I'm starting to get back into the shop.
Yeah. Don't wait until Derek does something nice for you to do something nice for Derek. Do it now.
Who cares about Derek? This is about you.
It really is about you.
Because you can do some really cool stuff in the shop.
Emily. So Emily, I really think this is important. I think you should do this. Take the time to spend some quality time with Derek in the shop.
And
okay?
Derek, take her out to dinner.
Take her out to dinner, Derek.
Show her a nice night.
Don't be a schlub. Don't be a zero, be a hero. All right, what's next?
There you go, Derek.
Okay, Steve Files, how do you bend wood that's too thin to laminate but too thick to bend on its own, like say 1/2 inch thick material? Well, at a 1/2 inch thick, we were just talking about this, you could probably use some sort of water solution. Steam is a good idea. It depends on how big it is and what you're trying to do. You know, if you got a steam box that's that big, you can do it. But ultimately, you know, get the material you need to make this thing do what it needs to do. But at a 1/2 inch thick, you could potentially steam that and get, depending on how big it is and what you want to do with it and how severe the bend is. But even at a 1/2 inch, you know, you could always still cut that into two. It'll go under the dimension a little bit, but resaw that into 2 1/4 inch pieces, and you can give a pretty decent bend to something that's a 1/4 inch.
Somebody just said, Nicole, you got back in the shop? Are you on the lathe? We just
see on
got
Instagram.
It set up.
You guys watched the Instagram story.
And I brought a couple of my past turn pieces for inspiration.
The David Marks walnut burls.
Yeah, I'm super proud of these.
Oh, you know
I love these things.
I'm going to pause for a second.
Yeah.
We'll go back to this. I forgot to mention, I was on Reclaimed Audio.
Yeah.
It's another great audio podcast with a bunch of cool guys, Phil Pinsky, Tim Sway, and Bill Lutz. Had a great time this week, so go check it out, Reclaimed Audio. One of the things I forgot to mention to them when we were talking about the few reclaimed things that I did.
Oh, this stuff.
These walnut blanks, these burl blanks, we used to go up to David Mark's house in Santa Rosa. And there was a firewood place, or well, it was it's a place that takes burls, and I think they made like gun stocks.
Yeah.
And all of the offcuts from the burl blanks, stuff that's just too small for them to use, they would put into a pile and they would sell it for like $5 a truckload. And if you spent the time to weed through it all.
I want to get some more of that stuff. I love turning it.
And we would go there with David and just go on this massive pile of walnut and try to find pieces that could be then further trimmed down into bowl blanks.
Yeah.
And we had tons of this stuff. So when Nicole first started turning, she made these beautiful. I mean, check them out. It's not, obviously, it's, you know, you don't want to eat your cereal out of this.
No, there's holes in it.
You could fill it if you wanted to.
I can't believe I was able to keep it intact because
they
you
are
can see through it.
Fragile.
Yeah.
Yeah, see? Yeah, so this is what we put our keys in the entryway, right? I don't know where this one, that's on your shelf, right?
I put my sunglasses in this one.
That's her sunglass holder. So this is, you know, this was a reclaim thing that we did because it was going to be firewood.
I love it. I loved it.
Okay.
So yeah.
Can we move on?
But I have my first blank already mounted on the lathe.
Already mounted.
Yep.
What we're going to do is I'm going to get Nicole refamiliarized with the lathe because she looks at this thing. She goes, what is that?
I'm like,
what's that for?
These are all new too.
That's the tailstock.
I only remember.
What's that do? That's the on button.
It's been 10 years, okay?
It's been a while. I'm going to get her familiarized with it again, and then we'll probably film your second bowl. just where you're a little more comfortable, right?
Magic Cameo wants us to wave. His daughter doesn't believe it's live.
Magic, no, don't, stop. Oh. We're messing with her. Magic Cameo.
Yeah.
My daughter does not believe it's live. It's not live.
No.
Don't, this is pre-recorded. We did this last week.
Is anything really live? I hear we're like always a few seconds behind of what's really happening.
You know, if you go fast enough, you can go back in time. It's true. Look it up.
Superman.
No, look it up. Not talking about Superman. I'm talking about reality. I'm talking about physics, baby.
I don't think so.
Look it up. Someone prove me right. You can go back in time if you go fast enough. All right.
We have another super chat, by the way. So after Jason's question.
Maybe it's forward in time. You can time travel, is what I'm saying.
You're so funny.
I'm telling you, it's true. You wait. We're going to look it up when we're done.
So full of it.
Jason Bracey. Mark, I just purchased 2 Arroyo rasps, and they're a little pricey, so I want to know how often do you clean them? Do you use nylon or a steel brush? If you could briefly explain the process, I'd be greatly appreciate the info. Thanks, keep up the great content. Let me see if I have everything. I still am not organized from the move, guys, so I may not have everything. Is someone agreeing with me about time travel or what?
People want you to stop cutting me off.
Hey, you're talking about marital issues here. This is not like hosts presenting a show. This would be a marriage problem. And that's mind your own business. Okay, so this is a very coarse Arroyo rasp, RU rasp. And you know what? They don't really get that clogged. Now, if you use a very, like when I did the Maui hook, I was using a 2x4. That tends to clog it, right? Because there's a little bit more sap in there. But most hardwoods, I don't find that I need to clean these very often. But I do have one of these file cleaners with the little stiff metal bristles. And I don't want to really abuse the heck out of it because I don't want to do anything to dull the rasp. But I do kind of just give it a little bit of love like this.
You're making a mess.
Tap it in there. I know your phone's right there too.
Get off my phone.
All right, and just get in between those little teeth.
And my coffee.
Put a little cinnamon. Pepper. Pepper. Grazie.
Grazie.
So a little bit like that is all you really need to knock the wood fibers out of there. You don't need to get crazy with it. You could probably use something softer than this, something that's not metal. This is just what I happen to have around. But one of those, bristle brushes that's like a stiff nylon material probably would be more than adequate. You just need to knock that extra sawdust out of there. You don't have to get too nuts with it.
Let me do my super chat from Daniel.
Go ahead.
He says, beginner here, what's a good way to cut rabbets and straight inlines without a table saw? Can I make cuts with short passes on a circular saw or by a router/hand tool?
Well, there's certainly hand tools, that approach this. You've got your rabbeting planes, shoulder planes, things like that you can do that with. If you're looking for the power tool method, circular saw can work, but you have to make sure you're going nice and straight for that rabbet to track properly. I think the alternative to the table saw that makes the most sense to me is probably the router. With a router, you can get a rabbeting bit. It's bearing guided. As long as you have a straight edge, it'll follow that edge and create a perfect crisp rabbet. I think that's probably the lowest barrier to entry outside, of course, if you have the funds to get the router in the bit.
Now you got the whole chat room talking about time travel.
It's possible, people. Look it up.
Enough. You did Jason's already.
Okay. Dan says, hi Mark, newish to woodworking and I don't really know about all the different styles of furniture. Kind of leaves me at a loss when I'm watching or listening to woodworkers talk about something green and green, mission style, or Queen Anne inspired. Do you know of any resources to learn about various styles common in woodworking, or give a quick rundown of the traits that are common in furniture styles or that these furniture styles exhibit? Thank you.
Front door's open.
Yep. Thanks so much for all the time you guys put into the show. Okay, Dan, here's the thing. Google is your friend, man. There might be books out there. There might be blogs. There might be things you can get outside of the internet. Well, the blog is the internet.
Yeah.
But there may be like more traditional resources. You can find rundowns on this stuff. But I say, why bother? I mean, if you really want to get into it sort of academically, sure, look at those things. But if you hear somebody reference green and green and you don't know what that is, go to Google, type it in, click on the image button, and now you know what green and green is. It's such a simple thing that we take it for granted these days, but it is an incredible resource. So when I hear Shannon or Matt on Wood talk about some stupid style that I don't care about because it's really old, it's just a personal opinion, I will go and look it up and say, okay, this is what they're referring to. Because I don't particularly have a whole lot of interest in those like older reproductions, but they like it. So that's it. Just go look it up and refresh your memory on what it is. You will find examples of those furniture types and be able to visually look at them. If you want a little bit more deeper explanation of their history, what time period they were made, why they look like they do, what region it originally came from, you know, that's the stuff you're going to have to dig a little bit deeper for. But man, Google is your friend when it comes to these furniture styles. Speg wrote in, do you enjoy cooking as much as woodworking? Making it yourself, specialized tools, specific ingredients, plus you get to eat the project at the end. What's your favorite recipe and who is the better cook? Okay, so a lot of questions there. I do love cooking.
Yes.
If I didn't do woodworking and was looking for something to get away from science, I probably would have taken up cooking.
We almost did a cooking show.
Yeah, we did.
If you look for crunchy French toast, it's on the Wood Whisperer.
Yeah, we put that recipe video up. It just never happened.
We did a cooking show together.
Was it Everyday How-To or something?
Everyday How-To.
Yeah, we had toyed with that idea, and we just put that little test pilot, I guess you would call it.
We're like, we don't have time for this.
We ain't got, who got time for that?
Who has time for that?
So, you know, I actually do love cooking, and a lot of the men in my family are chefs. 2 of my brothers are chefs by training, and, you know, my dad used to cook pretty well. And I love cooking. So yeah, honestly, I see a lot of common threads. I love watching...
You don't do it.
Seriously, often. Woman? We'll talk about that in a minute. So I
actually... go outside and grill.
Oh, that's not cooking?
Well, it is, but...
Oh, you just go outside and putz around with that grill. And I make delicious food for you to eat. Yeah. So I watch shows like Top Chef, for instance. Yeah. Like people who are at the top of their game. The taste was fun.
I like the taste. I don't like a lot of
But those are like
shows.
home chefs.
No, they were...
Weren't they?
No, that was with Bourdain.
I thought they were like home chefs, though.
It was a mix, professionals and home chefs.
Oh, that's right, that's right.
And that's why.
But anyway, watching people at the top of their game as chefs, I feel like it's got a lot of common threads with what we do in woodworking in terms of materials and creativity and how you combine things. Obviously, it's very different, but I like watching shows like Top Chef for the same reason I would watch a show like that about woodworking. And I personally find cooking to be very cool. And like I said, if I didn't do a woodworking podcast, I probably would have done a barbecue podcast at some point. So for me, barbecue, the grill, that's my territory. I love to cook there. I also like to cook inside, but I think most of my meals that I'm going to cook are going to be on the grill or in the smoker. Nicole is more of the home cook family meals, you know, so the really hearty, good pastas, good chicken dishes. She's also a hell of a baker. That's kind of her specialty.
Oh, thanks.
But the two of us actually do cook quite a bit, I think. Yeah, you know, we don't really, I would say, she probably cooks most of the meals just because we're not grilling all the time. Right. But I make a darn good risotto.
When we do the HelloFresh, you'll get in there.
Oh, and that's another thing. Yeah, now it's expensive, but we love HelloFresh, Blue Apron, like those meal in a box.
Plated and HelloFresh are the two I stick with, and kind of I look at their menus and I'll alternate between the two. Because
I think the worst part of cooking is sourcing. Ugh. Going out to buy ingredients that you may only use half of, and then you waste the other half.
Or you may not even use it. There's been times where we just get so caught up in stuff and time, and then I'm like, what was that? What did I get that for?
Right.
And
but those things are fantastic.
I love HelloFresh's the way they organize.
Well, it's a kit.
Yeah.
It's like in woodworking, you order a kit and you just build the project. It's the same idea. So, okay. And like I said, I wouldn't say either one of us is the better cook. We just have very different things. I'm the pancake guy.
What's your signature dish?
Well, our signature dish, I would say, is our tomato pie. But you make the tomato pie and I cook it. Yeah, so we're both half in there.
Yeah.
My pancakes are pretty damn good.
Yeah. My chicken parm's pretty good.
Your chicken parm is fantastic. Your cavatelli.
Oh, yeah, the big cavatelli. Yeah.
Yep. And your dessert, what's the dessert? The
baklava.
Baklava is like out of this world. Beg wrote in. Nope, that was the last guy. Alex Steinberg.
Not sponsored. Somebody said sponsored. No, we're not sponsored by HelloFresh.
Oh, I wish we were.
I wish we were.
I'm currently trying, this is Alex Steinberg, currently trying to coat a piece of pine with West Systems 105 and 207, and I keep getting a very uneven result. When using epoxy as a finish, should I expect this? Then just plan to sand and buff? Do I need to seal the wood with shellac or something prior to application? Basically just looking for a fairly natural looking finish that is tough and long lasting. Couple problems here. First, I know you can use that epoxy resin, that particular West Systems, as part, I know it's certainly in the marine world, you're going to be using it for, you know, putting with, oh, what the heck is this stuff called? Like fiberglass, right? And you kind of create a layer that way. But it's not necessarily a finish. A lot of times epoxy finishes are more loose in nature so that they could flow out better. So I don't know that that's really the best material for you to do an epoxy finish like that. You might look into other products that are actually pourable epoxy finishes. Now, the other problem that I have with this is you want a fairly natural protective look. There's nothing natural about an epoxy finish at all. Like, it's the polar opposite of a natural finish because it's one of the thickest finishes you could ever apply to a piece of furniture. So you may, again, start looking at other things if you're looking for, you know, a good combination of durability and something that actually looks somewhat natural. And you have to go with a thinner film if you want something that looks natural. So look into different epoxies and consider a completely different finish if natural is one of your goals. Okay, last question I have here is from Michael Brindle, M13 Woodworks. Question regarding wood movement. I have a customer who wants a chessboard of sapelli and curly maple with a mitered walnut surround. We know how troublesome that can be. My question is, how can I go about not having to worry about the wood movement in the maple and sapelli splitting the walnut miters when the moisture in the wood rises during different seasons? The only thing I could suggest is design it differently. So you need to maybe take those squares of sapelli and, what did he say? Sapelli and something else.
Curly maple.
Curly maple. Make those into veneer, all right? So basically veneer a bunch of strips, glue them together, and then cut them the other way to make your chessboard, put them on plywood, make it a stable substrate, and then surround it with a frame. That's the only way you can get away with it. The only other option, if it is solid wood, is to allow for expansion. And you have to maybe put grooves in the side of the inner panel, grooves in the frame, and put a spline across there. But it has to have some gap there to allow for movement, and a gap on the top of a chessboard just kind of doesn't look that great. So if you can be creative and come up with a cool way to do it, it could work. But ultimately, put that stuff as veneer, put it on a substrate, and then put the frame around it. And I think you, and you know, especially if it's a home sawn veneer, it's going to act and look like solid wood. That would be my recommendation.
Robert McDonald gave us a super chat, but he didn't give me a question. So
oh, well, thank you, Robert.
I saw it. I'm waiting for you to ask. So if you do have a question, type it in the chat.
Type it, yo. Let's do a couple more because we actually are out of time. But we didn't do enough user questions.
Josh wants to know, any chance travel coffee mugs will make an appearance in the TWW store?
Were they taken down?
We sold out of them, and I just never really ordered them again.
We can consider restocking them.
Take a look.
We'll see what a lot of times we like to go for a new design.
And people are very
picky about their travel mugs.
about travel mugs.
I know I am.
So
I don't like plastic.
He doesn't.
I like aluminium.
I don't like.
More questions.
Yeah.
Oh, I interrupted you. I'm sorry.
You're
Nicole.
terrible. You're horrible.
I'm a terrible husband.
Oh, I dropped my coin.
We need counseling.
Dan wants to know it's not, he's just saying happy early birthday.
Happy early birthday. Thank you.
I'm building a grilling table to use next to my Weber. I'm using CPES.
CPES?
Yeah. And Epiphanes.
Oh, yeah.
As the finish. What do you think of... I didn't even read the question. I just saw a question mark and I grabbed it. What do you think of picking out barbecue?
I love that. It has nothing to do with the woodworking, right? It wasn't leading him towards
I was like, wait.
Picking out barbecue was actually pretty good. It wasn't my favorite, but I think barbecue is a very taste-specific thing, right? For instance, Texas barbecue. There are some people who won't eat any other kind of barbecue. I'm just not a big fan of Texas barbecue. I love a good smoked meat, but I'm more of a Kansas City guy. I want a good sauce on there, and the sauce is everything to me. Smoke is important, but man, I'm big on the sauce, right? So, but I can appreciate all types of barbecue, but I have my favorite. So this place was more definitely on the Kansas City side.
I really enjoyed it.
The brisket wasn't smoky enough, actually. I really appreciate a good smoky brisket. The texture was good.
See, I like a milder smoke.
Right. This was basically like roast beef. You know, it didn't really have much smoke flavor.
I thought there was smoke in it.
But the pulled pork was fantastic. The atmosphere of this place was great. It's just like the little shack on the side of the road.
You're like, is that it? I go, I think that's it.
And as I'm pulling up, I'm like, well, I know it's going to be good. I could already tell. The big giant jar of pickles that you just have to fish out yourself. It was great. I really liked it. And again, not that the brisket was bad, it just wasn't smoky enough for my tastes.
All right, Robert, yeah, Robert never asked his question.
Oh, Robert.
Well, oh, no, there it is. It was a comment saying Marc's videos are always great, and I hope to be a great woodworker someday, just like Matt Cremona. And he's just saying, love you guys. Oh, thanks, Robert.
You see what he said? He hopes to be a great woodworker, just like Matt Cremona.
Yeah.
Matt Cremona also hopes to one day be a great woodworker. I know what he's saying. That's how I choose to interpret that.
Oh, my goodness. Let's see.
Got any more?
Yeah, I got a ton.
Okay, let's do them.
Somebody wants to know your opinion of Kobalt power tools.
They suck. No, I don't know. I've never used them.
They're more for mechanics, right?
Well, Kobalt is, I believe, isn't it like Lowe's in-house brand?
Yeah.
And they make a whole range of stuff. It's, you know, it's like, so I don't know. I haven't really used them. I can't offer an opinion. I honestly, my gut reaction, and this is just snap judgment, is that most in-house brands like that are typically geared toward homeowners. So you're going to have that typical classification where it's going to be a good price, but you may not have the most durable or accurate tool on the market.
Let's do some quick fire, okay?
Yeah! I'm good at quick questions.
Jeff wants to know, when you do your woodworking, how often do you run your dust collector?
Every day, all the time.
And does it have a remote?
Yes.
Yes.
I run it every time. Every time there's a tool that it's connected to, I run it, obviously. Yeah. And then I try to keep it on because those big motors are not good to shut off and turn back on multiple times. I think they tell you like 4 to 6 or something like that. 4 or 5 times per hour is like too much. So usually I just let it run if I'm doing a bunch of different operations.
This is not quick fire, by the way.
I just wanted an adequate answer.
Okay. Brian Voss wants to know, I'd love to hear some conversations about screws. Opinions, etc. for this newbie woodworker. Screws?
Screws are great. I love screws.
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 Screw you. Okay, screws. I keep it simple with screws. You know, most of them are very utilitarian in my shop. I usually get most of mine from McFeely's. I got a whole range of sizes. I keep them in these little, I showed this in my tour, the 2017 shop tour. I keep them in cases like this. Super convenient because when I need screws, I could take these out, I could take the individual bins out and then put everything back. But I don't really think too much about it. They're all square drive screws with a tapered head. You don't need any kind of special coating unless you're doing something for like outdoor work. But I just stock up on square drive in all different sizes. And that's, again, McFeely's is the source that I use for that.
Jay William wants to know,
Shoot, that was loud.
Saw Schwarz's video on soap finishing this morning.
On what finishing?
Soap finishing.
Okay.
Have you tried it?
No.
No. I've never even heard of it. What is soap?
I don't do anything the Schwarz tells me to.
Jim wants to know thoughts about how to properly set up the Byrd Shelix cutters on a jointer.
Yes, watch the video where I show you how to set up, where I show you how to install that. I didn't really do anything in terms of calibration with that, if I recall correctly, but the installation video is there. Just look on our website.
Yeah, because he's talking about setting it up. I don't know. It says relative to how you demonstrate setting up the traditional knives.
I need to do a video on that. Here's the thing with most of my big power tools. I do not break them to fix them. I wait until they actually need a calibration, then I'll calibrate and film it. And my joiner has not needed calibration, so I'm not touching it until it does.
Philip wants to know, sharpen jointer blades or buy new ones?
If they are sharpenable and they're good quality blades, send them out for sharpening. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. But sometimes there are like brands that make disposable blades or ones that are just kind of one-time use and those get replaced.
Gotcha.
But do yourself one better and try to get a helical head, and then all you have to do is rotate those suckers and replace the inserts whenever it's necessary.
Nice. Geronimo wants to know, is a card scraper something that is essential, and how do you choose one with different shapes out there?
A card scraper is not essential, but it's a real good idea.
Yeah.
It's going to save you a lot of sanding. It's going to help you smooth out the surface. You don't need to use nearly as much in the way of low grit sanding. For profiles, usually if you just buy one of those 3-piece sets, you're going to get a gooseneck scraper with it. You might get one with like 1 or 2 curved sides to it. It's about all you need. You get into really specific stuff, you might want smaller scrapers of different sizes, and you do a lot of chairs. Something like that might come in handy. But that basic 3-piece set is probably going to do everything you need it to do.
Josh wants to know, he's getting military orders for Belgium for 3+ years.
Holy smokes, that's a lot of waffles.
Yeah. Shut up. thought you were going to say years, not waffles. Should I sell the big cabinet saw and other large power tools, or go full Shannon and put them in long-term storage and take a hiatus?
Well, if you go full Shannon, you have to actually start by getting a pompous attitude. I'm not sure if that's in the cards for you. I don't know. See, I mean, that's the very personal thing. I don't know. I mean, if you already have these tools and you like using them, don't sell them. You're just going to have to buy them again.
Well, he's talking about put them in.
So yeah, put them in storage, but it sounds like he can't bring them with him.
Yeah, well, you may discover cool tools over there.
I would put them in storage.
Yeah.
Sure, if you discover new things there, it sounds like you're going to have limited resources there. So it never hurts to improve your hand tool skills. I mean, as much as I make fun of Shannon, he has spent a lot of time honing, pun intended, and perfecting his hand tool skills. And that, no matter if you're a power woodworker, a hybrid woodworker, your hand tool skills will make you a better woodworker, no matter what. So spending 3 years focusing on that, even if you do come back and use those power tools, you're going to be better for it if you had focused on, the circumstances just require you to do this. Go for it, man. Go full hand tool and see if you can improve those skills, get those fundamentals. Mm-hmm. All right, what else? Let's do one more.
I have one more. And stay safe.
Stay safe.
Well, he's going to Belgium.
Good luck. Come home safe.
Chris N is very desperate. He says, where do you pick up hardware for curved drawer fronts? I'm restoring a dresser for my sister-in-law that has a curved front. I've looked everywhere and I've found nothing. Okay, I'm not really a hardware guy, especially for like more traditional reproductions and things. Maybe Brusso? Horton brasses. No, Brusso's has they're hinges. Well, they have hinges, but they also have some other things, but extremely limited in terms of selection. Horton brasses, maybe check that out. Everybody talks about those guys. But I'll be honest, I don't really have great hardware resources. Let's do another question. Okay. Come on, notes. Come on, notes. Here's a question for you. Trey Jones wants to know, a question on your shop apron. I've been eyeing it for some time, but notice you do not wear it a lot in your videos, your newer videos. Okay. All right, I'll see you guys later. Where's the other one at? The shop apron? My shop apron? Yeah, the canvas one. It's all the way over there. It's too far. It's over there? So You're gonna make your mom mad. I ain't scared of her. We sell aprons on our website. What are they, like 50 bucks? Canvas. So they're light tan canvas. And they're a really good apron. And the design, it's a long story how we ended up with this. But I do like the design. I like the pockets with the flaps and everything. But it's canvas and it's got those, what is that material for the straps? I don't know what you call that, but it's like a woven fabric material. They're great. They're actually really nice aprons. But recently I had, and here's the thing, I'm in Colorado now, and that's the only reason I'm even wearing an apron. Prior to this, you couldn't get me to wear an apron for anything in Arizona because who the heck wants another layer on them? So I stopped wearing aprons, but now that I'm back in a cooler climate, I'm actually wearing an apron all the time. Yeah, they're $49. Okay, $49 in the Wood Whisperer store, twwstore.com. But my buddy Michael Williams started a company called Calavera Toolworks or Calavera Tools or something, Calavera, and he sent me an apron. And they have really high-end premium leather aprons. And it's like a $200 apron. Yeah, right? This thing is so comfortable, you can hardly tell you're wearing it. Why do I wear this one and not mine? Because it's more comfortable. But it's a $200 apron. Right. Our aprons are 50 bucks, you know? So it's a matter of if you want this level of comfort. And I will say our aprons have more pockets. Like, well, here's the thing. Depending on... I don't know how long it's going to take to happen, but I am talking with Michael about possibly doing a signature series of aprons, and maybe we'll just do it based on pre-orders because this is just Michael making these things. That if we can get our logo and branding and co-brand it with his, we'll have Wood Whisperer premium aprons made from leather that look a lot like this, and they will be my design. So I have already given Michael specs on what I want in terms of pockets, because this is good. The problem is I really miss the pockets that are, let's call them the pelvis pockets. I miss the lower pockets and I want flaps, which is something that I'm borrowing from the
design of our canvas aprons. So functionally, this could be better for me. Other people doing different things might see it differently. So that's really the story. Oh my gosh, give it a whiff.
Smells like leather.
Smells like a man, right?
No, it just smells like.
It smells like a real. It smells like a dead cow.
I was gonna say. Yeah.
So these are gorgeous, but again, $200 versus $50. So I'm not gonna lie. This is a better apron. It's more comfortable than our aprons, but it costs four times as much.
Other people like it. It's all about personal preference. Some people don't do leather.
Right.
So.
And I'm also, to be honest, the $200 apron, I'm a little bit more careful with that. If I'm going to do something like extremely messy, I might just grab my canvas apron. I consider a $50 apron more sacrificial than a $200 apron. And so we may be doing this signature series. We may even just offer it as a guild thing. I'm not 100% sure because again, we can't do giant numbers on these orders. It's just one dude who's making this stuff happen.
Yeah.
Okay, so I think that's just about it. Let's pick our winner.
Well, so people are asking me what address they can send because they want to send me a coin. So
you're doing a P.O. box? Do you want me to say it on the show?
Well,
Are you handling it individually?
We don't. Not the Arizona P.O. box.
Who said Arizona?
Oh, I thought
the
you were...
new P.O. box.
Yeah, I was going to...
We're on the same page.
Do you have it memorized? Because I don't have it memorized.
No, I don't. It's P.O. box something. No, it's not.
It's
actually.
Not a P.O.
It's a
box.
Address.
Yeah, it's a street address.
Okay, so
it's 5856 South Lowell Boulevard, Unit 32.
Number 107.
Number 107, Littleton, Colorado 80123.
Yeah, and just email us or whatever.
Yeah,
we'll give it to you.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's pick a winner out of the people who asked questions. What was the one that we really liked? It was one of your questions.
It was one of my questions.
Yeah. Do you remember that one? It's toward the beginning?
Yeah. No, it was about the fear. Frapsody. Frapsody.
Frapsody. That's the one.
Yep.
So Frapsody.
If you're still around.
Yeah, if you're still around, Nicole's going to get in touch with you.
No. I'm not getting in touch with you.
You confuse me. Every week you do something different.
Because I can get in touch with these people.
Yeah.
I can't get in touch with the people in the chat.
So if it comes from you, okay.
If it comes from me,
it's their responsibility?
It's your responsibility to send me an email at Nicole@thewoodwhisperer.com, and then we'll talk.
I'm with you, Green Eyes. Okay, so do that. Get in touch with Nicole, and she will get you a free project. And again, every week, guys, we're going to give away a free project to someone from the list of questions we got. We're going to pick our favorite, and then we will give you a free project. And a lot of people, I always forget to do this. They're like, well, where can I find the guild? It's at woodwhispererguild.com or thewoodwhispererguild.com. They'll both work. Yep. And that's where you can go to find out new projects and things coming up.
The chair build and all that.
The chair build, yeah. We're doing a dining chair right now. It's going to be awesome if I ever get off my butt and start making it.
And don't forget, we still have that very super cool tools giveaway going on over at thewoodwhisperer.com/giveaway.
Yeah. So everybody was telling me, like, they wanted me to move the camera down to show the way that it hooks to the rail, and they were trying to look at the handle. And I kept pointing at the handle, but the camera wasn't on it. And then I adjusted it, and it still wasn't on it. So sorry about that, guys. My bad. All right, well, have a wonderful weekend.
Yeah.
We hope,
did you say thank you to the patrons? That's why I'm here.
Okay, hold on. Let me find it. Sorry, we're going to thank our patrons here.
Because guess what? If it wasn't for the patrons, we wouldn't be here.
It's not true. We would do the show anyway. The patrons just make it a lot more fun.
No, we are consistent even when I'm in the hospital.
If we want to skip a show, we're a lot less inclined to do that when we have patrons.
Yes.
Okay, so thank you to folks who helped us out on Patreon, patreon.com/woodwhisper. Chris McCoy, Joe Lipinski, Andrew St. Pierre, Randy Tucker, Matthew Mazzoni, Peter Perello, David Cummins, Ben Minchall, Mike Halasi. Thank you so much, everybody.
Thank you.
We really appreciate the support. So again, patreon.com/woodwhisper if you want to support this nonsense and encourage us to continue doing it every week. And
we'll send you some cool stuff if you, depending on the level.
Yes, there's some really cool kickbacks there. And we even added the hybrid woodworking book to the highest level, right?
Yep.
So lots of cool stuff there. So thank you again. Hope you have a wonderful weekend. I'm going to go putz around on the grill
Next time
and
you
not
see
do anything
us,
productive.
He'll be 40. We'll be the same age.
Oh, for like a couple weeks,
For a couple weeks.
That's right. And then I'll be back to having an older woman. All right. Thanks, everybody.
Bye.
Peace out.